Hello brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you back again to our continuation from the previous lesson. Remember, we are still discussing about effective communication skills. So tips for effective communication. So I did mention in the previous lesson that as interpreters we require adequate preparation, skills and knowledge in order to be able to give out the interpretation in a more professional and acceptable way, so that we are able to provide the necessary linkage between our deaf brothers and the hearing community in general. So as interpreters, it's always very necessary that you check with the organization or your employer the time you are going to engage yourself with interpretation, so that you are able to plan for yourself on whether you will require another interpreters or you will interpret alone. So whenever you have such like information, you are able to adequately prepare to avoid unnecessary embarrassment. And it's always a good idea that as interpreters, whenever we have a break, especially after interpreting between 15 to 20 minutes, it's always good that we get up and take a walk to avoid unnecessary discussion on the event. Remember, as interpreters, we are not allowed to discuss the event during the breaks. This is to avoid excluding our deaf brothers and sisters in the topic. So to avoid engaging yourself in unnecessary talks, it's always good to get up and take a walk around so that you again cater for more information and some of the necessary adjustment before you come back again for another engagement. So it's good and healthy to take a walk around and interact with other people, and maybe it might be some interpreters are around and they have something maybe to add on you already have skills and knowledge. So it's important to note that. Another thing, as interpreters, it's actually important that before we engage ourselves in any event that require us to carry out interpretation, it's very important to meet the employer before the actual day, so that at least you are prepared or given papers or information on some of the events or some of the programs that will take place, so that you are able to familiarize yourself with the names of the participants and the whole program in general. So it's very important to get the background information as interpreters to be able to prepare adequately. Another thing, as interpreters, remember to interpret information is the best way possible. The interpreter must understand first what is about or what the context is all about. This is what I mean in simple terms, that there are different types of interpreters and there's different ways of expressing ourselves as interpreters. For effective communication and giving the actual message as an interpreter, it's always good and necessary to best understand what is being talked about first before you start interpreting. And actually, this is a skill that most of the interpreters lack, and they end up giving out their own ideas during interpretation. As interpreter, whenever you are prepared to know what you are going to talk about, you will actually prepare adequately to avoid embarrassment, as I've mentioned, and provide the necessary information to our deaf brothers and sisters. So it's always important that to interpret information in the best way possible, we must first understand what we are talking about, and to understand the context of the event, so that we give out what belongs to the deaf community and avoid unnecessary interpretation. So it is very likely the interpreter may not be familiar with, of course, the topic of the discussion, especially in an event whereby an interpreter did not meet the employer or did not get to go through the program. You'll always give interpretation